For the 2005 British Cycle Speedway Finals, and this will be some of the most physical action you will ever see on a bike. Plenty of contact in what's a very competitive event.
It'll certainly be extremely fierce today, yeah, there's no doubt about that. From any British rider's perspective, today's the most important day on the annual calendar, and it goes without saying that only two riders in the history of the sport, which is over 50 years, have ever managed to retain their title the year on year. So it shows how even the competition will be and how tough it will be out there.
From Stoke, Terry Norman!
This is my 9th final and I still haven't won one, and I'm desperate to win one before I get too old, so it's very hard. It's hard to qualify, even harder to win.
It's a sport that's been running for over half a century, but its origin started in the most unusual of places.
The sport in Great Britain started just after World War II, so that's 60 years ago. Basically that started with youngsters racing stripped down old bikes, copying the motorcycle speedway, and they marked out pretty rough and ready basic tracks on old bomb sites.
Well, this weekend's final should be every bit as hard fought as any held previously. A wide open field, they're all very even.
If I can just string 5 decent rides together, put myself there or thereabouts, I'll be over the moon. You can never guarantee, obviously the competition's that even, you can't guarantee you're going to go out there and win all your 5 rides. What you've got to do is make sure you're consistent, make sure you put a decent score on the board, and hope that's enough.
I've got to try and get in the top 3. My best is 4th. Like I say, I'm running out of time now, and I've got to try and get in the top 3 and obviously to win it, really.
I don't expect to have an easy ride by any means. I think only two people in history have retained it consecutively, so I know the odds are stacked, but made it to the final. It's the case the same as last year. Just go out there and give it your all and see what the result you can get. I know I need to make things happen. I can't rely on the draw. I can see that straight away, so I need to pull something out the bag, as they say.
Well, the oldest competitor in the field is Southampton's Ian Woodhouse, but he's still determined to give the youngsters a run for their money.
To be perfectly honest, I'm suffering today. It's a young man's sport, and I say I'm 44 years of age now, so it does catch up with you. And to compete, you still got to put in extra training to somebody half your age. So when you're trying to compete with 21-year-olds or whatever, it is hard work. But I'm just going to go out there and enjoy it.
Ian's also got competition from his son Sean, who's one of the up-and-coming stars of the sport, and beginning to steal some of his father's thunder.
He was the youngest person to qualify for a British final at the age of 15. He was 16, and I'd done it when I was 15. So he was a bit gutted, but he was glad it went to keeping it in the family. It's weird because last year he was in the final as well, and it's like the first time I've rode against him competitively. But it's good fun. It's good to beat him.
Well, Heat 1 saw the defending champion Lee Ayres up against 2 other former champions, Dave Hemsley and Gavin Wheeler. Starting from gate 3 wasn't going to be easy, as he soon found out. He chased the others and slipped off his bike. Not exactly the start of his title defence he'd hoped for. It was a good start, though, for Gavin Wheeler. In Heat 2, the double world champion Mark Newey lined up in gate 1, wondering if this was his year to win the British title that had so far eluded him. And he led the race all the way, exactly the start to the competition that he needed. In Heat 3, Sean Woodhouse started from the favoured gate 1, that's on the inside of the track. And it worked well for him too, into the lead early and a relatively comfortable victory. For Adam Peck though, things didn't quite go to plan. Stoke's Terry Norman lined up in gate 1 next to Ian Woodhouse for Heat 4. But while battling with Stephen Ward, Ian Woodhouse was forced wide and pushed out of contention. That left the way clear for Terry Norman to take the win. Woodhouse, though, wasn't happy.
Nah, it's not going too good, to be honest. First race, a bit unlucky. I was trying to tuck in behind Terry, and he wasn't exactly going quick, and then got taken from behind, and then you get a knock and fly it on the bend. And once you lose that distance, you just can't make it up unless you're, a youngster.
Heat 5 began with a full start. Caught the riders out. When the race did eventually get underway, it was Terry Norman who took advantage of his starting berth. Gavin Wheeler and Mark Newey battling hard behind until Adam Peck made a late charge and forced Mark out the way. Win number 2 though for Terry Norman.
Yeah, so far so good. I've had my easy rides, I must admit, because I've had 2 grid 1s. My next 2 are the hard ones, and they'll determine whether I'll win this or not. And so I'm very nervous, but I'm just hoping for a bit of luck, and hopefully I'll make something happen.
Heat 6 then, father and son teammates Ian and Sean Woodhouse lining up next to each other. And it was Ian who ended up fighting hard for third with Russ Evans. For Sean, though, it proved another successful race, and he beat his dad into the bargain.
Track is quite slippy, so you can't go flat out. And like when you want to change lines, you've got to be a bit careful, otherwise you might fall off. But you have to do a lot of it. When I was racing Dave Hemsley, because he passes up the inside quite a lot, so you have to go slow and then keep it tight and pick up quick. But if you try going into bend too fast, you'll just fall off. But yeah, it's an even field really, so you just got to be a bit careful.
Heat 7 now, and this started very badly for Paul Dyson, who was excluded for that jump start. That gave Craig Marchant a big advantage because there were only now 3 riders in the race, obviously. It still proved close though between the triumvirate, but Craig managed to keep Lee Eris behind and took his first win. Heat 8, this would prove a tough challenge for Richard Williamson from Wolverhampton. Starting from second, he ended up scrapping with Southampton's Lee Galley. And it was Richard who came out worse. Lee not taking any prisoners though, he tried to barge his way past Ben Scranage, but Ben managed to hang on to second place. Stephen Ward took the win in his first British final. So there's the table then, very tight. Norman and Woodhouse a point clear from Wheeler. Hemsley, Marchant and Ward, they're not out of it either. Now to the untrained eye, cycle speedway bikes may look like any other bike, but there are a few major differences.
A conventional bike has got lots of gears. A cycle speedway bike doesn't have any gears. It's a single gear, a free wheel, no brakes, and the idea is obviously to get acceleration and to get to the first corner before your opposition. Well, the wheels are a standard size, but the tyre is specifically designed for the sport. It's a knobbly tyre because the surface of the track is shale. It's quite a loose surface, so you need something that's going to grip the track quite well.
Around 10 to 15 minutes.
On to heat number 9 then. Alongside me is Graham Sutton, cycle speedway expert. Ward, Evans, Marchant and Wheeler here, Graham.
Yes, and away they go. Steve Ward making the most of 2 consecutive inside starting gates in his debut final, and showing a lot of promise there as Craig Marchant attempts an inside pass. The track conditions here very dusty today, and therefore anybody trying a tight line on the corners is in trouble, as Marchant was there. Steve Ward now capitalising on that, and he's building up a sizable lead. Gavin Wheeler, who was one of the pre-match favourites, is stuck in traffic back there, and he is of course a former champion himself in 2002, but these conditions not really suiting him, and it's Marchant who tucks in for second place behind the very impressive Steve Ward there from Manchester.
So Ward wins, but it was Russ Evans left licking his wounds.
I was going around the bend trying to hold a tight line, and my wheel just slipped, and as I slipped my fingers parted, which I think felt a click, and I'm not sure whether I've dislocated it or broken it yet, but I've pulled out and I'm going to go to the hospital now, I think. So it's the end of the day.
We wish Russ all the best. We're on to heat 10, Galley, Newey, Hemsley and Dyson here.
Yes, and Lee Galley's got the favoured inside, but a very strong lineup of riders there. You see Lee Galley under pressure there from Mark Newey, and that causes him to fall. Allows Dave Hemsley, 5 times champion, to come through and challenging now on Lee Galley, the Southampton rider, who knows that once you get out in front of Dave Hemsley, you've got to just ride not a fast race, but keep that line, because Dave Hemsley is one of the most prolific passers in the sport. But you have to say that these dusty conditions not suiting Dave at all. He would normally, his trademark is to sweep around the bends, wide in and tight out, and he would be looking to pass Lee Galley if we had a grippier track, but the conditions same for all riders. Lee Galley there then capitalising once again on the inside start and takes the 4 points for the race win.
So Galley wins, bad news for Newey, better for Hemsley though.
A little bit frustrating at the moment, riding okay, struggling a bit with the track, you know, being a bit a bit more loose than we've become used to. But, you know, I haven't made any mistakes, but I haven't done anything special yet. I need to put 2 good rides together now. I really need 2 heat wins. If I can get 2 heat wins, I've got a chance.
So halfway in the tournament now, all the riders know exactly what they have to do. Expect fireworks in the second half. Join us in a moment.
To get our fastest broadband, you better get moving.